So the government says that you can retire at 67 at the moment, but that number's going up and up. And personally, I don't think the government should dictate when you leave the rat race. I think retirement isn't an age, it's a number. By the way, I'm Julia. I left the rat race at 56 and now I'm on a mission to help people think differently about work, money and freedom. Now, yes, I am a Gen Xer. We had access to mortgages to buy our own house. I had a good workplace pension. But I discovered something at the age of, I think, 47, 48, and that completely changed my mindset around retirement and money. And that was the FIRE movement. FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. So I discovered that in my 40s and I've been able to retire at 56. Imagine if someone had sat me down at the age of 25 and told me all about FIRE and what it could mean. That's what I want to do for you today, for you younger people, so that you've got the opportunity to decide if this could be something to help you achieve your freedom from the rat race. So here's the trap. If you are relying on the government, the state, to fund your pension, then you are living under a trap. You're going to be tied to work, but also the goalposts keep moving, and that's completely out of your control. So there's plenty of articles and videos on the FIRE movement, and my personal guru was Mr. Money Moustache, and I read his was mainly blogs, and I read them all. They're still available on his website. So that would be my recommended course if the FIRE movement is something that you want to look more into. But if I can distill it down, it's mainly two things. The first sounds really simple, but spend less than you earn. Surprisingly simple. And the second is invest the rest. And here's what I would advise. In the UK, it is by law, if you are over 22 years of age and earning more than £10,000, your employer should offer you a workplace pension. Now, I know at the age of 18, when the organisation I was working in, I was a nurse, they were talking about pensions, they had people in, and it seemed so far off in the future, it just did not feel relevant. And I know everyone says this, but trust me, if I hadn't have taken part in that pension scheme, I would not be retired now. That pension is a huge part of the reason that I am able to live without a boss now. And I remember when I was a nurse, I worked with someone, she was a single parent and really struggling with money. And she was going to HR to talk about coming out of that NHS pension because she was saying, I need the money now, not then. I think about her now because she would be beyond retirement age now. And I just hope that she didn't come out of that pension because she will have denied herself this index-linked pension for life. Now, most work pension these days are different, but essentially if you opt out, because you are entitled to opt out of it, but if you do, you're giving away free money. Think about it. You give up some of your earnings, your employer tops it up, and then you get the government topping it up. So essentially it comes to an 8%. And I know people think of money today and they need it today, but I would definitely recommend that you use that free money and take up your workplace pension. Now, of course, we will have a state pension in some form or another, but the age at which you're able to take it is going to be set by the government. And as I said, that age is just going up and up. wouldn't it be nice to not be dependent on them telling you when you can leave the world of work? As well as workplace pensions, the FIRE movement looks at investment, and that's not like regular savings account, that is investing. In the UK, not financial advice, but one thing I would look at, and I wish I had looked at when I was younger. As I said, I really discovered this in my late 40s. But we do have things like stocks and shares, ISAs, and that would be something that if I had my time again, I would have invested in those at a much younger age, and it would have given me more funds now. As I said, I was in my late 40s, and by then I was living the typical consumerist lifestyle that so many of us are living now. I was earning a good salary. I was a single parent for a lot of my 30s, but we'd have a few lovely holidays every year. I would go and buy nice clothes without thinking twice about it. The clothes would mainly end up in my wardrobe and not used at all. I had a lovely house. I thought that was the thing that you did. I had a very beautiful house, but it came with a very big mortgage, and the mortgage was really keeping me trapped in a job that I wasn't enjoying at all. Now, this FIRE movement, this Mr. Money Moustache attitude, is radical, and it means you are going against the normal flow of things. You will have to have that money to invest. You are going to have to look at life quite differently, but it doesn't mean living on beans. And the younger you start, the more realistic and straightforward it can be. Having said that, I discovered it in my 40s, and I made some changes there and then that meant that I could leave at the age of 56. If I'd have carried on in my high spend consumerist way, I would not have been able to retire now. Some of the things I did, I downsized my house by a big margin. I committed a big proportion of my salary to go on overpaying the mortgage that I had left. I stopped the big holidays. I mean, I've gone away, I've done nice holidays, but the big luxury long haul holidays went. I simplified my wardrobe. I bought fewer items. And as well as saving money, it's a heck of a lot easier to look after a few items than continuously have that fatigue every day. What shall I wear today? Oh, that's not washed. The laundry basket is continuously full. So living radically, FIRE way, yes, it does involve some changes, maybe some sacrifices. And I'm going to talk in future videos about the things I would do differently. If I was starting FIRE now in my 20s, I know some huge changes I would have made to the way I was living. And I talk about that on a future video. But the key is start early, and then you won't have to make so many huge sacrifices. But the key is not draining, not your money frittering away every month on things that you think you need to keep up with other people. They might be people you don't even like that much. It is another trap. So a workplace pension and some form of investment. As remember, thinking back to spend less than you earn, and every month put some portion aside for investment. Now, a caveat, a huge caveat here is if you are really experiencing financial hardship at the moment, then you might not have any money spare to invest. So this advice isn't for you, and you have my heartfelt sympathy, and you deserve a medal for surviving with extreme hardship. But I know there are lots of people who have a moderate income, but are spending and losing money every month. We'll come on to that in future videos. But there is a drain on your money and it's not going where it could protect your future, and you risk being chained to work forever. Another baseline information that you need to have is how much your life is costing you. I think so many people put their heads in the sand when they work out budgets, and they either don't want to look or they just assume they're okay. I'm going to come on to talk on future videos about those spending drains, but for now, it doesn't have to be fancy, but look at your life, your housing, whether you're renting or mortgage, the bills, the utilities, the broadband, but look at all the hidden things. How much do you spend on takeaways, on coffees, on McDonald's, on fast food, on Ubers? If you're not counting it, it's slipping through your fingers. And it is quite scary when you sit down and do a budget. I've done one quite recently and talked about it on YouTube. But you really do need that information, because that information is one of the keys to your future freedom. And here is the magic formula. Once you know how much your life costs down to the pound, include Christmas, holidays, gifts, birthdays, and all the rest of it. Once you've got that number, multiply it by 25. This is the magic formula. And that is the amount you need invested. Once you've hit that number, and it might seem ridiculously huge, but it can be done. And once you've got that number, it may seem at the age of 20, 30, a ridiculous sum of money, one that you could never possibly achieve. But when you look into the fire movement, you will see that plenty of people are achieving it. And yes, it means sacrificing, but it doesn't mean you need to live on beans for the rest of your life. But it does mean living differently to probably the vast proportion of other people. But here's what they're not doing. While they're busy spending and buying bigger and bigger houses and buying cars, fancy cars, they are not paying for their freedom, and you are. Multiply your annual cost by 25, and if that is invested, once you've hit that number, you can leave the rat race, because that investment is going to mean that you can draw down a certain proportion of it for your living costs. That's the number that you worked out that you need every year. And everything else stays invested and just keeps growing forever. It almost feels like a nursery tale, like Jack and the Beanstalk, but that is the financial reality. The really interesting thing of getting that number, that amount, your budget for a year, your honest budget. Once you've got that number and you multiply it by 25 to get your amount that you need invested, a point at which once you've got that, you can leave the rat race. When you initially look at that number needed, it's going to horrify you. You think, I'll never get that amount. But that is where knowing that number is so important, because suddenly you look at what your annual costs are and you start thinking, maybe I could chop that back a bit. Maybe if we ate out less, if I cut out a bottle of wine here and there, you see the effect that makes on your annual budget number. Maybe is it a matter of retraining, reskilling, earning more, getting a different job? Is it living closer to where you work? Even if it's not the most desirable place, it might save money on the commute. You'll find all sorts of ways that you can cut that annual budget. By doing that, you decrease the amount you need in that final freedom pot. That's where the fun comes in. For me, that was definitely a big motivational boost. It was at looking at what am I spending that isn't bringing me happiness. Now, of course, life changes, things happen, divorce happens, and don't I know it? I've gone through it myself. But here's what you can do today. Start thinking about your own timeline, and the younger you start, the better. If you don't want the state to tell you when you can leave that rat race, you can take control, and you just need to know that number. Don't worry about how you're going to do it, just get that number first. Let me know in the comments, what age would you like to be to leave work, leave the corporate world, leave the daily grind? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video.